The Tour de France, as ever, has attracted most of the world's top riders. In fact, this year, the depth of talent does seem particularly extensive, which is fantastic for us as viewers, but it has made it quite hard to make a top 10 riders to watch out for list, and indeed quite hard for the riders to get into that top 10. Nevertheless, I have tried my best. I'm going to take a deep breath though, because I know I'm going to upset a few of you if I've left your favourite riders out. But here goes. Oh, before we get onto it, quick reminder, we do have daily highlights over on our Facebook page, so make sure you check them out. Number 1 on our list has to be Chris Froome. Now, he has had a cloud hanging over him for the past few months, ever since it was revealed that he'd returned an adverse analytical finding for salbutamol at last year's Vuelta a España. However, he has since been cleared very recently by both the UCI and WADA, and in that time, he's won the Giro d'Italia. That means that he is the current title holder of all 3 of the Grand Tours, something pretty unprecedented really in the modern cycling era. And now he's going for a 4th and a 5th Tour de France, which would put him equal in terms of the record, at least the official record. Now, he's always had a strong team alongside him for his Grand Tour wins, and this year most certainly is no different. Thomas, Pouls, Moscon, to name but 3. However, despite all of that, it is going to be a particularly tough task, and I've just got a feeling that all this Grand Tour riding and winning is going to take its toll in the final week of the Tour de France. However, I've been wrong many times before, and no doubt I'll be wrong again. The French squad, AG2R, or AG2R, are all about one man, and that man is Romain Bardet. 3rd last year and 2nd the year before that. You would imagine he's now at the point in his career where the only thing that really matters to him is winning. And that's fantastic, because therefore he will be willing to take risks, whether that's uphill or downhill, wherever. That is going to be entertainment. If he does manage to pull off the feat this year, he'll be the first Frenchman to win the race for 33 years. But that also in itself is great, not just for the race, but for the sport of cycling. You can't make a top 10 riders to watch out for at the Tour de France, or in fact for most other races really, without including Peter Sagan. Last year, he was, of course, disqualified from this race after stage 4, which means this year he will very much be back for revenge. And you've got to say, Michael Matthews effectively stole that green jersey for him, because Sagan owns that thing. Now, he's taken 5 wins so far in 2018, but one of them was a big one, his second monument, Paris-Roubaix. It's his consistency, though, over the Tour de France stages and also over the season as a whole, which really is, frankly, remarkable. Will it be the Sagan show again this year? I think it just might be. Who, though, is going to be the next Peter Sagan? That's the big question. Well, could it be Fernando Gaviria? I mean, he certainly shares a lot of the same traits as Sagan. Incredible sprint and pretty blooming good on the climbs as well. He's on our list as one of 2 Tour debutants and 3 Colombians. I think it's fair to say, though, he's had a mixed season so far, almost unbeatable in sprints outside of Europe, but unable to win one inside Europe. Still, if you're going to change that trend, you might as well do it at the Tour de France. And there's no doubt his team, Quick-Step Floors, have brought an incredibly strong team to support his ambitions. Compatriot Nairo Quintana will be one of those riders who hopes that Chris Froome does indeed begin to suffer in the final week of the Tour de France. I mean, he knows only too well what it's like to do 4 Grand Tours on the trot and aim for the GC. He did exactly that this time last year, and it didn't exactly go too well for him. By contrast, he's not done a Grand Tour since, so he will be very fresh and he will be very motivated. In part, to try and secure leadership of his team Movistar, because amongst their ranks, they also include Mikel Landa and Alejandro Valverde. Was last year Richie Porte's best chance at winning the Tour de France? It certainly seemed like it was that way just before he crashed out on stage 9. He was looking really good. That was a horrific crash though, and it has taken him a long time to get back to his best, but he has seemingly managed to do that just at the right time. He won the Tour of Switzerland just a matter of 3 weeks ago and claimed that was the biggest win of his career so far. I, though, would put a few question marks over the motivation of his teammates. I mean, I'd have no doubt they will all be riding for Richie Porte at the Tour de France, but it does seem that BMC Racing will either fold at the end of this year or at least vastly reduce in size. So if they haven't yet signed a contract for 2019, are they really going to go the extra mile for their leader? Porte, obviously, will be hoping they've already signed contracts for next year. Another rider whose future is as yet unknown, to us at least, is Mark Cavendish. Now, we did and ah a little bit as to whether or not to include him in this top 10 video, partly because he's crashed multiple times over the last 12 months and therefore has rarely hit top form. But then we thought about it, and how can you not include a rider who's won 30 stages of this race? I mean, when you actually think about that, it's remarkable. Put those back to back and it's like a Tour de France and a half. Now, it might be that he doesn't hit top form, but it wouldn't be a surprise at all if he did. And it is really only this, in terms of stage races, that truly motivates him 100%. Following the careers of the Yates twins, it's been a little bit like watching two lifts. As soon as you think one's got the upper hand, the other one jumps up 2 levels. And so you would think that Simon Yates' recent performance at the Giro d'Italia will spur Adam on to jump up those levels. And given that he's already finished 4th overall at the Tour de France in the past, jumping up another level will mean at least the podium, if not the win. Now, Adam has also had to deal with injury in the past few months, but he's come back from that. He competed well at the Tour of California, and then that stage win recently at the Criterium de Dauphiné shows he came back to his best at just the right time. The final GC rider on our list is Vincenzo Nibali of Team Bahrain Merida. Now, this name too took a lot of discussion behind the scenes at GCN HQ, but then every time we write Nibali off, which is quite easy to do, it comes back to bite us, which is perhaps why he's called the Shark of Messina. And after all, this list is a riders to watch list, and Nibali is a fantastic rider to watch. He's a racer's racer, proper racer. You don't know what to expect from Nibali, except to expect the unexpected, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but you know what I mean. Are you ready for the final rider on our list? He's the 3rd Colombian and the 2nd Tour debutant. I'm sure you can guess, it's Egan Bernal. Just like Vincenzo Nibali, he is on our list because we can't wait to watch him. Unfortunately for us, although fortunately for Team Sky, he is quite young and therefore probably won't want to upset the apple cart and go against team orders. Odds on him winning the Tour de France over the next few years must be pretty slim, but he's here for experience and also to work for Chris Froome. However, if we all now collectively cross our fingers, maybe, just maybe, he might be given his own freedom on 1 or 2 of the mountain stages. We can only hope. Or maybe he might do a Froome and ride up a climb so fast that he drops Froome in the yellow jersey, just like Froome did to Wiggins at the 2012 Tour de France. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little bit overexcited here, but we can only hope, can't we? That is then the end of our top 10 riders, which, as I mentioned to you at the start of the show, means I've left some massive names out, and I'm sure I've upset a few of you out there. In the sprints, I've left out Demar, I've left out Marcel Kittel, for goodness sake, Andre Greipel, Dylan Groenewegen. I'm sure they're all now going to win stage. In the GC, I've left out Tom Dumoulin, Primoz Roglic, who's one of my own personal tips. I don't know why I left him out. It's a plethora of talent at the Tour de France this year, and as I said before, a must-watch. Over on our Facebook page, just to remind you once again. Now, if you cannot get enough of the Tour de France build-up content, we have got you covered, because just down here is our big GCN Tour de France preview. That includes all of the key stages to watch, and what we'd like you to do now, before you watch that, is let us know in the comment section down below who are your favourites to watch, and indeed, what are the key stages for you to watch.